3 months ago, you started a diet. You went all in. You dropped 10, 15, maybe even 20 pounds. And yet you put it all back on, maybe even more. And now you're stood looking at yourself in the mirror, saying to yourself, what is wrong with me? Why can't I keep this off? And the truth is, you were never going to be able to keep it off. You were always set up to fail. And today I'm going to explain to you exactly why that is. I'm Dan. I help business owners and entrepreneurs systematize their health so they can reclaim their energy, unlock their focus, and feel great all the time. So let's get into this. I've been coaching for over 20 years, and there are three main reasons I see that people regain all the weight they lose when they're dieting. Number one, you rely on discipline and motivation instead of systems. How many times have you said to yourself, I just need to be more disciplined. If I want it a bit more this time, I can do it. I know you're nodding your head because we've all done it. But here's the thing, having a successful business, being a good parent, all those things take discipline. So you already have discipline. Discipline isn't the issue here. So if it isn't discipline holding us back, what is it? And I hate to be another one of those fitness people plagiarizing James Clear, but you really do fall to the level of your systems. And when you don't systematize your health, you're always going to run up against friction. You'll be using up bandwidth trying to make decisions like, what am I going to eat for lunch? How far away from bedtime do I need to eat? What am I going to do to the gym later? Versus having a system for all those things so that 90% of it just happens effortlessly, leaving you just to focus on the things that are important to you. And problem number two, you base everything on your best weeks. When we decide that we want to make a change, we feel this surge of motivation that makes us believe that we can do whatever is required for us to get the result that we want. And in doing so, we make things more complicated than they need to be. Because getting lean is simple. Staying lean is even more simple, but simple doesn't equal easy. And most people make their fat loss approach far too complicated. And because we've not had much success in the past, we believe that that's because there was some kind of secret. There was something that I wasn't doing before that if I can do this time, will unlock my results. And so we ignore fundamental like calorie deficit, training, sleep, stress management, and we focus instead on things like ice baths, fasting, and glucose spikes. And the problem is you're focusing on things that just don't move the needle. And so the more you try to refine and optimize for those things, the further away your goals are going to feel. And even worse, when life ramps up, which it always does, you're going to feel overwhelmed because instead of focusing on just 2 to 3 things every week, you're now focusing on 10, 15, maybe even 20 things, and you just don't have the bandwidth to focus that much. You need a plan for those bad weeks. Now, in my coaching, I call that a base camp. The way I look at it is most people are stood at the bottom of the health mountain, looking up, staring at their goals, and they just go hell for leather, sprint all out. And yeah, sure, they make a bit of progress. Maybe they get a quarter of the way, maybe they get halfway up the mountain, but then a storm comes in, life happens. And because they've got no other plan for that, they just get pushed straight back to the bottom, straight back to where they started. With Basecamp, you're always on the mountain. Basecamp is made up of the minimum amount of effort required to keep moving towards your goals. So when you experience those bad weeks where it feels like you just can't control anything, you know exactly where to put your effort on those few things that are actually going to move the needle so that you can continue making progress. And then number 3, you treat health like a business sprint. In business, a sprint can create leverage. You throw yourself into a project, you build something, launch it, and then you step back and recover. But health doesn't work that way. You train like crazy, you crash diet, you drop a ton of weight, but then you put it all back on again. Because there was no system, there's no leverage, just burnout. In business, you can outsource tasks. But in health, you can't outsource moving your body, eating well, and getting sleep. You just have to live the process. And the easiest way to do that is first by understanding what's actually required to reach your goals. And then secondly, aligning that through your lifestyle and your preferences. Optimizing for fun, enjoyment, and flexibility of lifestyle. Because when you do that, you remove the friction from the process and you stop seeing health as something that's restrictive and stops you from living the life you want, and instead becomes a vehicle to you living a bigger, better life. So if you'd like to get started with your health journey and you'd like to better understand what Basecamp could look like for you, then you're going to want to check out the links in my bio, and I'll see you in the next one.